Welcome in. As they say, this is it. That's right. We are finally back to the Philadelphia Eagles playing football, so I guess we have to start there, even though we're not going to go in chronological order. Harry Mays, Matt Cherico, I'm Eitan Shander, the three of us, Philly Voice Sports Bet. So we ask that you hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, you know the drill, all of that. All right, let's look into it here. We have much, no football at least on no more college football, anything along those lines. It's been days since we gave out basketball or hockey stuff, so nobody even remembers what happens there. This is the divisional round show, right? Like let's look at each of these four games. And why not start with the Philadelphia Eagles, where we talked a little bit this week about the tease element for this squad. 7.5 is such an ugly number, but the more I'm looking at it, I have them in the teaser.
Me too.
But I added a third leg for a new teaser that I'm going to bring up, which is basically KC Philadelphia. I'll bring up that other team in a minute, but
okay.
I'm tempted to just lay the 7.5 here with the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know how the Giants keep up.
Now, is that also sort of a contrarian type of play too? Because you know that a lot of people are like, oh, well, I can't lay 7.5. I got to take the 7.5, right? If it was 7, I'd lay it.
Yeah, and okay, so yes, I have the benefit on Thursdays. I did that show with Walter from Walter Football, right? So yes. I try to glean what I can from him, and he's not right all the time, but he does have some interesting perspective. And he is not the homer, right? Like he's the typical Philadelphian where if there's an area to attack, he will.
He's like us.
Exactly. Yeah. But you look at the offense and you look at what this team is able to do, especially what they were able to do when Hurts is healthy, and the assumption is Hurts is not hurt by any means. This is a lot of firepower. I think it was the first time since 2019 the Giants put up over 30 points. Like Daniel Jones did something for the first time in NFL history.
Oh,
it's just hard to keep this stuff up. I got a Daniel Jones prop I want to hit with you guys, but I just want to open up the game at least. I'm locked into teasers. I have not bet a side, but I am tempted to lay the 7.5, as ugly as that number is.
I'm with you, man. I mean, if you're gonna say you got to pick a side with the points, I would lay the 7.5 with the Eagles, because let's not get crazy. I know the national media is going nuts with Brian Daboll and Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones is he's the quarterback in Buffalo 2.0. He's the light version of Josh Allen. My ass. That Minnesota Vikings defense stinks. So let's not over-exaggerate what they did offensively last week against Minnesota. They're going to face a totally different animal here. And let's not forget what the Eagles did. They emasculated this New York Giant football team in the Meadowlands. They ran the ball for 253 yards. Okay, that's taking a team's balls. Okay, that's what that is. Let's not forget that.
Man, hearing all these stats just not necessarily making me feel better about my team.
Giant
going
fan.
up against and the sad thing is I do have some picks that go against that. I mean, I agree that I think that people are definitely now overhyping this public Giants movement. It's definitely gotten me a little scared, because I think the Giants are a talented football team, but I don't think that they're this talented to where the public should be, this is the upset of the weekend if there was to be one.
The public that can't name one of their receivers, by the way.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
People
saying?
just see Daniel Jones highlight and they're like, oh, he's playing good, throw money on him, you know? But I think this is, a big task for the Giants. This is a team that obviously is way more talented than any of these teams that they've beaten on their little hot streak. If you want to say that they've gained momentum from beating the Colts, from beating the Vikings. I mean, neither of these teams are, any good on the defensive side of the football. And then you faced a team in Minnesota who doesn't have a mobile quarterback. And really, that's what I think it's going to come down to in this game. Jalen Hurts is not Kirk Cousins. You can't sit back and expect Jalen Hurts to make a mistake eventually. Kirk Cousins is one of those guys you watch and you're like, all right, he's going to have a bad throw if he's under pressure. He was getting hit by Dexter Lawrence, and the whole time I thought that's just kind of building up. You can't expect that same thing out of Jalen Hurts. He will run all over you, and I think that's what a lot of Giants fans are forgetting, just how versatile this Eagles offense is.
I'm with you, man. And it's, look, this team caught a lot of flack for how they finished the regular season, even though Jalen Hurts was banged up. I want to get to some player stuff if you guys have it in a sec, but 3 teams, and I think there were some others that started 8-0 since 2007, but just worth a mention here. If you go back since 2007, right? You've got the Patriots, who started 8-0. They finished 2-6 against the spread. Now, they lost to the Giants, but they made the Super Bowl that year. New Orleans, 8-0, right? They went 2-6 against the spread in their final 8 games. They made it that year and beat the Colts, remember, in the Super Bowl. And then 2018, it didn't end well against Bill Belichick, but the Rams were 8-0 and went 3-5 against the spread in the final stretch of their 8 games, and they made it to the Super Bowl. So I think the Eagles have a lot of momentum that people are just going to conveniently forget because it's easy and recent bias to look at what they did at the end of the regular season.
Yeah, no, I agree entirely. And if there was one guy, I think, because if you're not picking a side, you just want to go straight up, player prop, what is something that's going to cash out for me, regardless of this outcome of the game or whichever game way the game sways. And I think that's got to be Saquon Barkley. I know that's one guy that will consistently get his reps, whether it's rushing, whether it's receiving.
Wow.
I think he's going to find his no matter what, because we saw in this week 1 wildcard game with the Giants, they relied a lot more on Daniel Jones' arm. But I think playing against a tougher defense in the Eagles, that I'm going to look for a rushing and receiving line. It's sitting at 92.5 right now, which, all right, maybe a little bit high of a number, but I think if they're going to rely on somebody, regardless of win or lose, I think Saquon Barkley is going to be a big workhorse in this offense. And I think if they want any success, he's going to have no choice but to have that type of volume.
I think he only had 28 yards rushing in that game at the Meadowlands because
the first
they took him out of the game because the Eagles got up by 3 scores.
Yep. Well, I have something funny for you. This is actually the first time in their history of being in the NFL that the Giants have Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley both playing together in Philadelphia. They haven't played together in Philly yet in their careers, so I thought that was just amazing. A little interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, so real quick, Harry, to back what Matt was just saying, I was surprised because as he led into that about a guy or a prop that you think would be bulletproof to the game flow, I would think I'm going to go right back to what cashed last week, and that's Daniel Jones on the ground. Now it's up a little bit. It's at 44.5. Exactly. Yeah. I don't know what it opened at, but I'm sure it took some money on the over, but I don't see him. Look, Daniel Jones was already, before Brian Daboll got here, fellas, really good against the spread on the road as a dog, especially as the spread got wider. A lot of that, as we know, because he can move, he can close down drives late in the game when defenses are soft, etc. So I think if the Eagles are up by 3 touchdowns, it's easier to take a guy like Barkley out. But Daniel Jones, and look, Brian Daboll wants to run Daniel Jones. Right. So that was my plot, was to go over 44. I just wanted to tag on that, Harry, because Matt brought up Barkley.
No, I like that too. I think that Jonathan Gannon is probably going to, more or less spy Daniel Jones, probably more than he did in the previous matchups, because Jones has become such a weapon. And like you said, Daboll likes it. He's encouraging his quarterback to run. But I do like over 44.5, even with or without a spy.
All right.
I
got something on this. Another game I really am interested in is that Chiefs Jaguars, because
let's go. We'll go game by game here. So let's go side or total. Do you have anything on that?
On the Eagles?
No. I think we're done with the Eagles, right?
All right. Okay. On Kansas City, I have them in a teaser, like you.
Yeah.
did.
So let's refresh the world here. I'm teasing Philadelphia, Kansas City down. I teased Jacksonville up alongside with Dallas, and I took Jacksonville plus 8.5 solo standalone.
So Matt, you teased Kansas City down and Jacksonville up. Are those?
Yes.
2 separate teasers.
Yes, okay. So I have Philadelphia -1, KC -2.5, and I have Jacksonville plus 14.5, Dallas plus 9.5.
Okay, looking for a nice middle there. I like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got Kansas City and Philadelphia and Cincinnati in a 6.5 point teaser as well. And I'm looking at Kansas City. I think they've been laying in wait Okay, they've had a nice week off. Jacksonville's getting a lot of credit, as they deserve, with Doug Peterson. Nice job that he's done developing this quarterback. But man, if you're Andy Reid, we know Andy Reid. He's got some special plays cooked up, and it usually doesn't take him long to unveil them. Okay, I like Kansas City early in this game. I'm not laying 8.5, but I like them in the first quarter, and I like them in the first half.
Something that's been coming around to me lately has been the Kansas City run game, truthfully. And I was skeptical on them probably the beginning of the season.
Pacheco,
it was just
man.
I got a prop on him.
Yep. Me too.
So I am taking Isaiah Pacheco over in his receiving yards, which is actually only sitting at 7.5. And then I'm also going to take him in an anytime touchdown at plus 100. So you add those two together and you get a plus 246 total.
Yep.
And you look at this receiving yard line, and I really can't believe it because he's hitting 6 out of his last 7. And in these games that he's hit, he's put up 19.5 yards. Yeah. So there's just no reason that this line should be so low. So I'm going to get in there while I can. And then I really think in the red zone, they're going to rely on him a lot more. Jerick McKinnon's been the hot pick, but I think Isaiah Pacheco, when it comes down to it, he's going to be that guy that Pat Holmes relies on.
For some reason, his rushing total came down 4 yards over the last couple of days, from 52.5 to 48.5. I love over 48.5 for Pacheco rushing yards.
Yeah, I think people have caught on to the fact that, they will throw quickly to McKinnon to prevent runs, and that they don't necessarily just hand the ball over to Pacheco if they're up, because they haven't been up by 14, 18, 21 points.
Right. Yeah.
So, you're buying low in a scenario where you really shouldn't need to buy low. Like that's where I think value pops up in betting all the time, which is you're buying low on a commodity that shouldn't be in a buy low scenario. Look, I took a little bit of a shot here, but I think that Kansas City can win this game in multiple fashions, where Trevor Lawrence is simply throwing for more passing yards than Patrick Mahomes. So at plus 230 to minus 310, I took a small half-unit sprinkle on Trevor Lawrence. Again, we've seen this Jags team play from behind routinely, in which he has to throw. They're going to throw to Travis Etienne. The Chiefs don't allow a ton of rushing yards, so they have to get throws, big plays to Etienne, Kirk, or even Zay Jones. So that was the one player prop that I was looking at. I'm not going to take a risk on Patrick Mahomes getting 3 passing touchdowns. 2 is fine, but 2.5, no. But I did look at least Trevor Lawrence having more passing yards than Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's why I like Kansas City early in the first quarter, first half. This Jacksonville team is a good second half team. And like you said, to be on the arm of Trevor Lawrence, and I could easily see a backdoor cover, in the fourth quarter by Jacksonville. I'm staying away from the overall game, but I like Kansas City minus 5.5 for the first half and minus 3.5 in the first quarter.
Yeah, I like that a lot, man. I think you can get a touchdown lead. You can get a 7-3 lead, right, where you're up 7 and you're still covering that 3.5. First quarter bets, it's unlike any other first quarter, first thing, like first inning type bet, because the NFL, if you think about it real quick, the longer you go into a game, the more likely you'll see shit you've never seen before. Like baseball, you can see random stuff in the first inning. The NBA, a guy can drop 40. Like there's stuff that happens, but it's usually pretty intact, where teams aren't doing crazy shit or crazy stuff doesn't happen. Like, oh my God, the most amazing thing you've ever seen is usually later in a game. So I like the attack on the first quarter. All right, what about Buffalo Cincy here? I told you earlier in the week I jumped on Buffalo minus 200. There were concerns with the offensive line. Burrow could be down 3 offensive linemen. Then I saw this stat. I don't have it in front of me, but I'm going to find it for us if they cover this spread on Monday. But Burrow is exceptionally good in covering any stat or any spread that's north of 1 score. Right? Or pardon me, less than 1 score. Sorry. So anything under 8 points, he's really good at covering these as an underdog. Right. So I don't know what to do. I'm tempted to cash out my Bengals plus 5 because I'm rolling with my Bills minus 200. But I still, even with the injuries, guys, I still think we can get some sort of a 3-4 point game in here, and that middle would pay off. It's dangerous, but I get it.
It is. I've got Bengals in a teaser at 10.5.
Okay.
So I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah, I like the Bengals probably more around that number. The offensive line is going to be a big issue, and I think that's why I'm going to go right back to my Joe Mixon prop on the receiving yards. I think Joe Burrow is going to be under a lot of pressure, so he's going to have to rely on Mixon again. And we saw him, unfortunately, he came 5 yards short the other day. Just got tackled behind the goal line on the shoestring, or behind the line of scrimmage on a shoestring tackle that really just screwed us over. But looking at it, he's hit that in the previous 4 games straight, over 22.5, I believe that line is set at. So I'm comfortable going over in that one. I think they're going to need Mixon a lot in these check down scenarios, especially if you're missing guys up front.
Yeah, and they definitely will be without their right guard and their left tackle. I don't know about the third guy or not, but they're definitely down those 2 guys.
Yep. I mean, to have 3 guys where you were really struggling at the start of the year and up until this year to protect your quarterback.
Yeah.
But, the counter argument is, look, Joe Burrow gets sacked 10 times, but if Josh Allen's turning the football over, does it really matter?
Right. That's right. Which Josh Allen are we getting here?
I don't know. All right, I have one bet that I placed for all 4 games, all encompassing, that I want to hit you with. But let's end here, at least with the division round, with the big one on Sunday night. Since we last spoke, these are the latest additions for me. Since we last spoke, I have Dallas +4. I took Dallas +163 half unit on the money line. And I've teased now Kansas City, Philadelphia down, and Dallas at 6. I teased them up to 10.5. So that's that 3-leg teaser that I added. Look, Dallas is the better team right now. And San Francisco has been playing better football, but they have not seen a defensive front like this. And I'm going to hit you with this one stat, which I absolutely love in this case. Remember, Dallas got knocked out of the playoffs last year by this San Francisco team.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not even bringing up Brock Purdy, all that other shit. Like, the shoe's going to fall with him, but put him in the back burner. Kyle Shanahan is 7-12 straight up against the spread in the same or next season opponent revenge games, which this is. No, Harry, it gets even better.
Wow.
He's 3-10 straight up against the spread in that situation when he's not taking on the Rams. So if you take the Rams out of it, he is brutal in this spot. Remember, Dan Quinn coached under Kyle Shanahan in Atlanta, and he's held Shanahan's offenses to 22 and 23 points respectively. This game is Dallas. I know it sucks to hear it here, but this game is Dallas for me, written all over it.
No, you're right. I mean, if you look back at Brock Purdy, who's done an amazing job, and the coach has done an amazing job in putting him in the right positions. But look at the teams that they've played, and they only play who's on the schedule. But he hasn't beaten a good team, a really good team. If you go back and look at the games he's played, this is definitely the stiffest challenge, and it should be because it's the divisional round of the playoffs. But I'm with you. If I got to take points, I'm taking Dallas plus the 4. It's up to 4 now. I think this is a 3-point game at best for the Niners to win it.
Yeah, I think eventually we were all looking for one of these types of games where the fall off of San Fran was just inevitable. I don't think they've seen a defensive presence like Micah Parsons, and I think after that game the other day, it showed you, like, Tampa Bay has a better offensive line. It isn't, the 49ers, but it is better, and they just tore right through it. So.
I disagree with that. I think the Niners do have a good offensive line. Plus, Tampa was down 2 of their play. They're starting center and their one of their tackles.
I thought they had Jensen back, right?
He's back next year. I don't think he played in that game, did he?
He might have come back for that game.
I want to say that was his first game back.
Oh, maybe it was.
No. You know what, though? I think it was the first time. That's why I took Tampa. That fucking loser, Brady. That's why I took Tampa, because, Harry, it was the first time all year that he had all 5. Back. Yes. Okay. And he still laid a giant goose egg. Not to get into the discussion that you two are having, but I was just to add that cap. That's what I remember. That the bastard couldn't win with all 5 healthy.
He only put up 14 points and threw the ball 61 times.
Unbelievable. That guy's a backup.
I'm expecting an inevitable fall off of the 49ers here. I mean, you can only be so hot for forever. But one thing that I did like was Dak Prescott over 1.5 touchdowns. touchdowns for plus money. So I really like that at plus 102. I think you could, or plus 106 now, actually. You could sprinkle that in alongside maybe a little inflated spread Cowboys, plus 8, plus 10, something of that sort, and just kind of get even more value out of that. I think they're going to stay in this game, and I really, unfortunately, have to agree with Eitan. I think the Cowboys just have the hot hand right now.
So you think they're going to win the game?
I think they might win
I took a money line.
Wow.
I took them. Yeah, plus 163 is fine for me. Look, I'm going to add this real quick at the end here. Brock Purdy is probably minus 112 or so, maybe 115, depending on where you find it. But to throw an interception, if you're on Dallas, I think this is going to be the game where you'll see that. And again, we see this shit where it's a tip ball, what have you. All right, last one for me. I want to just bring it all back here. I bet this. It was on FanDuel. I put a small, $25 on it to win $225 plus 1,000 on FanDuel. Each game. Oh no, wait. I think it's each team. Sorry, I was going to say each game. I got ahead of myself. It's each team to score one rushing touchdown this weekend. So each team, all we need is one. All 8, right? One rushing touchdown from each team, and that's a plus 1,000 bet.
Jeez, that's too good to just pass up.
If there was a leg,
right?
Yeah.
The Jags don't really score much on the ground, and the Chiefs don't give up much on the ground, so that's a concern. But the Eagles, I'm good. Dallas, I'm good. San Francisco, even Pacheco, right? Like Kansas City, I think I'm fine there. Buffalo, Cincinnati, I'd be shocked if either quarterback, at least Josh. So, but watch it be like the Eagles, right? That don't score anything on the ground.
I've got my boy Dalton Schultz in an anytime touchdown again at plus
there you go.
225 in that game.
There you go.
He is a killer in the red zone.
He's been a great target. I think they're going to be pretty heavily worried about that run game of the Cowboys. I think they're going to be focused on stopping, Zeke and Pollard. That duo tandem has just been incredible. So I think if you can stop their, receptions and just narrow down to maybe focus on Schultz or something like that, that could definitely work in your favor there.
All right,
any NBA for you guys?
Well, shots on goal for me is crushing. Swept the board on the Discord last night. Last time we talked, I think we hit, if not all of them, we missed one. So I'm just going to keep going right back to this bread and butter, man. It's a prop that you can play. You can ladder to. Mikko Rantanen. Mikko Rantanen.
That's a Tom Byrne name if I ever heard
seriously, one. Mikko Rantanen. Over 3.5 shots on goal. Feel free if you like. That's it. I'll just leave it with that. NBA. Look, I'm going to go right back. Part of it is so I can send you hate text, Cherico, tonight. But I can't ignore the fact that as much as Julius Randle freaking sucks when it comes to shooting the basketball right now, he's still taking an absurd amount of shots. So I went over 2.5 threes for Randall at even money, and I can't help myself.
Can you just make that a text between you and Cherico so I don't have to see this garbage?
Randall slander. I mean,
it's for you, Harry, more so than Matt.
Coming in at night, and I'm like, I'm not even involved in this conversation.
I unfortunately do like the Knicks +3 tonight as well. I think in this bounce back scenario against the Hawks, I like it. I think Atlanta, when it comes down to it, especially at the 3 and 4, I think Julius Randle might have a good game tonight. As sad as it is to say, I think a matchup against John Collins works in his favor, especially physically. And now without Mitchell Robinson being out 3 weeks, he's going to have to step up when it comes down to the paint. And I think this could be a good opportunity to even look for more rebounds for Randle as well.
Aren't the Hawks a poor defensive team off the perimeter? Because you've been going against the Hawks a lot with 3-point plays for the opposition, right, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, with DeJounte Murray and Trae Young, I mean, that really says it all right there. Yeah. Those are two barn doors, just constantly rotating. I mean, they really don't do much. And when it comes down to it on offense, too, they don't want to share the rock with each other. So I'm going to take advantage of that turmoil while it's there for sure. So I like anything Julius Randle tonight. And I also do like the Knicks +3 in this position that they put themselves in. And then I'm going over to my man, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in his game tonight. And now I'm not taking him individually, but I am going to be taking, this is a high number in the first place, but I really like it over 241.5 in this game against the King. It's a big number, but we're seeing 125 games. And in a game where, you have a lot of facilitation like this, you have Sabonis, you have now on the other side of the ball, you have Josh Giddey constantly You know,
I like
putting up
that
10
guy.
plus assists. He's scrappy. He's a scrappy kid, and I think there's going to be a lot of points dropped in this one. So over 241.5 is what I'm going to ride with in that one.
It wouldn't be a Friday night in the NBA, guys, if there wasn't an SGA bet.
No.
Okay? I mean, we got to have it. The people demand it.
Yeah, but you know, it's you might be able to work if you can find a combination of over under with Giddy, Dort, and SGA, because there's usually a correlation to where, like Lou Dort last time out, right? Like one of these guys is going to go off alongside, assuming SGA goes off, and then the other guy is going to struggle mightily. So I don't know. I might tail what you're doing here, but still go under like 18.5 for Giddy tonight. A little Giddy.
All right. I could say he does have those games where he puts 12 points, but he puts up like 15 assists. So
yeah, absolutely.
I could see that as
Dish
well.
the ball, man.
Yep. I love it.
He's fun. That team's fun to watch. All right. Anything else on the way out, Harry?
No, that's it.
All right. We'll see you Monday.
I wish I had an advanced line on that Temple Houston game on Sunday.
Yeah, we don't have anything even for tomorrow. It looks like.
That's the one thing about basketball that stinks is you never get any advanced stuff.
I know. All right, well, we missed the Amex this week, which isn't a bad thing. So we'll be back on our golf horse this week. Yes.
Hold on, though, because I knew you wanted to do something. I watched a lot of it yesterday, and the one golf course typically plays tougher. The stadium course than the other two. They're all at La Quinta.
Right.
But the stadium course is the tougher of the three. Keith Mitchell shot 6 under yesterday on the stadium course. He's won before. He knows how to win. Plus 4,000 to win. He's at 6 under, so he's just a few shots out right now. And plus 260 on a top 10 I took.
What's the top 20 for him? Because you're probably going to get like 150 or so.
It's plus 100.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah.
All right, look at live Keith Mitchell. I'm in.
Yeah.
Good stuff. My kid's in too. Awesome. All right, we'll see you guys Monday. Appreciate it as always. Thumbs up, subscribe at Harry Mays to you, at Matt Cherico with a 0, and at Shanda Show for me. See ya.